Whenever you guys are ready.
Chris, can you get the microphone? Okay. I got you. Can you hear? Can you hear? Can you hear? Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, Cody. 1 second.
See you guys. I'll do a quick statement, then we'll do whatever questions you want. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I am. You guys are so important that we're putting you live on the post-fight show.
Fired.
Trying to change the game a little bit. We're not doing the same bullshit.
Do something different.
What's that?
Yeah, do something different against it.
You're damn right. We want to be with you like this. Okay, about 4 minutes out. All right, they're cool. Dan Hardy called that the submission by Hadley tonight. Yeah. It's a Scottish. Yeah. It was great. Do you guys like that Hadley submission? Wasn't that sick? Absolutely sick. Tell me all your names real quick. I want to meet everybody. How are you? Good.
Johnathan.
Sweet. Hey, Brad. Nice to meet you, man. I'm Coach.
Jamie.
How you doing, Jamie?
Good, man.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Aaron. I just take still photos.
You don't just do anything. Everybody's a coach.
That's why you're the coach and I'm just the guy taking pictures.
I'm Edwin. Nice
Edwin?
to meet you, Coach. Yeah. Edwin.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
How are you back to the future?
Doing great. They call me Eddie or Stash Mouth, whatever you want.
Best stash in the business.
Yeah, you know.
I like it. I have a segment on my betting show called Betting the Future, and we do all. It's like the Back to the Future song with the with the car.
Fire.
But then when the fire comes, it says Betting the Future instead of Back to the Future.
Love it.
I have a much better producer than I'm not that talented.
It's fire though.
All right, 2 minutes. Chris, we need to work on this too. We need a better. Yeah. Perfect. You might have any tape. Finally figured out what you're good at. I apologize ahead of time for my voice. I'm just getting a little cold, so I apologize. And your name, Miss, is. Oh, we got attitude.
I just work here, Coach. I don't know.
Sounds good. 1 minute. Copy that. Perfect. You got a lot of beautiful people.
Oh, thanks, Coach.
George, you want me to take it from Sean and acknowledge him, or just start talking as if you're just taking a slap? Okay. Right. Good call. Good call. Stand by. Cover that.
Did he give you another time? 1 minute, 30 seconds.
Listen. Sean, thank you very much. We want to thank everybody for coming back here at the post-fight press conference. I'll make a brief statement, and then we'll take any questions that you guys might have. So, again, thank you all for coming. But on behalf of the PFL, we're certainly very, very excited after the first 2 weeks. We're halfway home to the semifinals, and I don't think you could ask for any more than what you've seen through the first 2 weeks here at Universal Studios. 11 finishes and 16 different fights. And I think sometimes whenever you have a main event that changes twice, and then you've got other fights that change the opponents, that there can be some uncertainty about what's going to happen. But I think you saw tonight, not only did the fighters come out ready, they came out ready to absolutely bang. And last week we had the same thing. So we've got Jason Jackson, we've got Pat Jean. But then you look at tonight, Alves steps in on very short notice. He absolutely dominated. And what we want to start doing here at the PFL this year is leaning into fighters that really lean into themselves, if you know what I mean. So Mondo Gutierrez, to me, he's the star of the night. Who would have ever thought? You know, and when you can cut a promo, when you're done with your fight, when you can then say, hey, I don't want to have somebody look at my nose or whatever the case might be, that's the kind of thing that we really want to start focusing on, is fighters that have personalities and that are going to fight to win and not fight to decision. So when you look at the Jake Hadley submission, you heard the guys on the broadcast, it's something that you never see. So right now at the PFL World Tournament, we could not be more excited about what we've had and what we have coming up over the course of next week, and then a week off, and then, of course, May 1st. So very, very excited, and I'll open up to any questions that you guys might have.
Johnathan Coachman, 5 minutes. Like you said, 2 weeks in, 2 top to bottom, really exciting cards. Business-wise, how do you feel like the tournament style appeases and will be able to draw more fans than the season did?
Question was, how will the tournament draw more business-wise than the season did? I think the season, I talked to all the fighters. I come in real early, and a lot of them said they were confused about the points, the style of fighting. And I think what you're seeing out of this is a much more aggressive style of fighting than what we saw last year. Because say tonight was a season fight and you lose, well, I still have a fight coming up in June and I can still get into the tournament. You saw a lot of the devastation. Juliana Velasquez, she gets, submitted. Nobody saw that coming, right? So you got to give props to the winner, but then you see the devastation from the loser. So I think that uncertainty, but also the drama, the emotion will add to the business. I think we're going to see a lot too is fighters start to call our executives and say, listen, I want to be a part of that. Then also, the season's not over, in my opinion, for a lot of these fighters. You still got to fill out those cards in June and in August. So for me, it's, you lost tonight. You're not going to be in line for the $500,000 check. But to me, it's just going to become more exciting. And that's what we're going to focus on. One event at a time, not focus on anybody else, focus on ourselves, and that's all we can do.
Like you said, one event at a time. A couple of years ago, you were here for the Challenger Series PFL was. Now you guys are here for a couple of weeks. How do you guys like Orlando as kind of like a small hub for the PFL?
Well, I personally love it. I like coming back to the same place. And I like the excitement of being here at Universal Studios. When I walk in and I can hear a roller coaster going on outside, I dig it. But also, I think the fans tonight were super excited based off of what we saw last week. And I thought they really got hyped. And when you come out in the very first fight, you've got Donna with a finish. That's exactly what you want. You want to set the tone. So I like having all 4 fights here, but then you look at the other fights. Our semis are going to be in Nashville, Wichita, basically my hometown, so I'm excited about that. And then you got Chicago as well. So I like the fact that we're here, but we're going to be everywhere too.
Now, PFL, a lot of homegrown stars continuing to make their rise. Thad Green, you have Canedo, Braga. How much do you feel like those guys could potentially be the faces of the PFL moving forward?
It has to be. It has to be. If we're going to make the PFL what we believe that it's going to be, it can't be about bringing 45-year-old fighters in to put in a tournament just to fill a spot. It's got to be about bringing in young guys that have great personalities that come out and do what Thad Gene did. Comes out, cuts a promo afterwards, looks like an absolute beast, and then gets in Jason Jackson's face. That's a guy we're going to lean into. And so to me, if you can just one guy after another, and then all of a sudden it starts to be a trickle-down effect because you guys are just like I am. You want to be around things that are fun. Right? You want to be around great personalities. You want to see great fights. And that's what we're seeing. But we also, it's our responsibility as the PFL to go out and find those young fighters too. We can't just rely on them to show up on our doorsteps. We've got to change a lot. We understand that, and we're going to.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Coach El Dawson with Fight Bananas.
Hi, El.
The energy tonight was absolutely electric. Big finishes, upsets. How do you feel like this event stacks up against some of the other PFL events?
Well, I think the last 2 weeks have been better than anything we've ever done, to be honest with you. I'm new on the road, but I've been with the PFL for 4 years now. And I think you're looking at a situation now, and you saw it tonight with the women and with the bantamweights. We never had bantamweights before. I didn't know what to expect. I know what the weight class normally is, right? Fast, intense. But you don't normally always have a lot of finishes. And I think that fighters now, because they see us as a viable option and they see us making the necessary changes, we're putting a lot of good people in good places. And I think we're acknowledging that we're kind of drawing a line in the sand and we're moving forward. So we want fighters to want to come here and start their careers here. And guess what? Be a PFL fighter forever. We don't want fighters that just because their contract ran out with somebody else, that they came here because of that. And so those are all stuff that we have to change, but you got to have exciting fights. And so when I come in early, I meet with all the fighters. And I tell their camps and I tell them, we want you to be excited. It matters. If you're not exciting, then you're not going to be a fighter that's going to make the amount of money that you believe that you deserve to make. And you've seen a lot of negativity from certain fighters. Oh, I was promised this. Well, if you think you're worth this much, then go out and get it. But if you think you're worth it here, then go out and earn it. And that's all we ask.
Absolutely. We saw some incredible breakout performances tonight.
Yeah.
Newcomers, you mentioned Mondo Gutierrez, Jake Hadley. For you, who absolutely stole the show tonight?
To me, it's easy. Well, I shouldn't say it's easy, but I love performing in the smart cage and then performing after you perform in the smart cage. So for me, it's Gutierrez. But Jake Hadley has something that was so exciting. When I hear Dan Hardy and I hear, Sean O'Connell and Randy Couture get so excited over something, and I'm sitting next to our fight ops guy going, what the hell is that, right? And he had to explain it to me, but I've got to learn sometimes too. So that was an incredible submission that you're going to see it all over Sports Center. You're going to see it all over social media. And those are the type of things that you talk about. And Jake Hadley told me, he goes, Coach, I'm going to shock the world. I can't do his accent like he can, obviously. But I thought those two guys tonight were great. And then the fact that Gutierrez called out his buddy, and you saw friends fight tonight in the main event. And the one thing that I despise more than anything else is when friends fight and they don't hit each other. And that certainly didn't happen tonight. So you're going to see the Hadley fight in the semifinals is going to be an absolute banger. So I can't wait for that as well.
Absolutely, neither can we. Looking to this next week, you have another newer weight class with the middleweights.
Yeah.
And one of the most competitive weight classes with the lightweights. I know there's been some shifting in a lot of the weight classes in the coming weeks, but which ones are you looking forward to?
Well, Impa is a former champion, and he's going to be in the main event. That has not changed. And I think Impa has a great story. And with my background at WWE, I'm all about storylines. And if you can come in with a great storyline and you can then sustain it. So now we're 2 years in from when he won a couple of years ago. So now I think he's going to be moving down to a weight class that's his natural weight class, to be honest with you. So I think you're going to see a much stronger Impa. I think that in a couple of weeks when you got Phil Davis, who's a former Bellator champion, you're going to have Shoeface, who's, you're going to see a lot of guys. To be honest with you, when we meet and we look at the different fight nights, the first two are like, what are we going to get out of them? And they've been amazing. So now if I would talk to the fighters that are coming up in the middleweights and the featherweights and the heavyweights, I would say you got to bring it way more than probably you thought you were going to. So I think there's a lot of fights, and I think there's going to be some shifting because in the fight game, you're always going to have injuries or missing of weights. But I'm a big Impa fan. So that's kind of where I begin and end with that fight next week.
Absolutely. Last one for me.
Yeah.
With us edging towards summer, a lot of fans are waiting on these announcements about the former Bellator champions, Johnny Evelyn, and former tournament champions like Dakota Ditcheva, Hachi Mix.
Sure. Is
there any word on when we're going to see those names announced in some fights?
Trust and believe, Elle. It's the one question I ask all the time. And here's the situation, is that we're still trying to decide what the winners of all these tournaments get. We also understand that we need to give them fights. We understand that they want to have fights. We had to work through a lot of contract issues when we bought Bellator, and that's just a fact. And we are. But once we get all that situated, all of those fighters, I just told you, we want them to stay here. And I'm not lying to you. And so it's like getting through it and then finding them matchups, right? So to me, I'm a big Evelyn fan. I mean, Impa almost beat him. And so Dakota, I would love to see the winner of the women's flyweight, wouldn't you? Like October and November. So to me, it's about doing it the right way. And a lot of what you saw on social media, if I'm just being honest with you, was nonsense. And it was fighters that got signed to bad contracts before it came over. And that story was never told. And it drove me crazy, which is part of the reason I'm coming in this capacity, is to tell you what happened. And when you get signed to a contract that's much bigger than what you deserve or what you're worth, all those have to be redone. That's kind of what's taking so long. And so now that we're getting those restructured, now we can figure out who they're going to fight. And I'm really excited about the Champions Series. And when we can announce it, I promise you, I will stand right here and you'll be the first to know.
Absolutely.
All right? Thank you. Anybody else?
Coach, you mentioned the main event tonight. What was your score?
What was my score for the main event? Well, I thought Alves won 30-27. I couldn't even believe that he even won on one scorecard. And sometimes I think, and I don't want to talk about judging at all, but sometimes when you have a fighter who's such a heavy favorite, and then somebody comes in on the last second, and then it changes again, that sometimes in people's minds are like, okay, but I watched that fight. I was right there with you guys. To me, Alves clearly won from start to finish. He had the big shot in the first round, and then I thought he pretty much dominated. He snuffed out every takedown that Higo tried to do, and I just thought he outclassed him all night. And that's just what I saw and what I watched. So I thought Alves dominated.
And then Jason Jackson and Thad Gene got announced for Nashville's main event.
Yeah.
How big of a fight is that for the promotion?
Well, I said last week, if it's not the main event, I'm quitting. And you can clearly see I'm still standing here. It's got to be. Those guys are everything we want in a PFL fighter to be. That Gene is the poster child for what we need to go out and find. Breathe in whatever word you want, because he's also a good guy. And he's also a guy that understands that this is the fight game. This is the entertainment game. And I'm telling you, we've got a lot of people that work here now at the PFL that came from the WWE. We understand promotion. We understand entertainment. But if you don't do it in there, then you can't let us promote for 2 months. Can you imagine what that promotion is going to be like? Can you imagine the energy that's going to be in Nashville, Tennessee in 2 months when those two guys try to get at each other on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday? It's going to be awesome. That's a fight game. It's going to be an absolutely gigantic fight. Now, in some promotions, and maybe here in the past, you wouldn't put these two against each other. I think it's BS. You put the best against the best and see what happens. I'm not scared of the 0 next to somebody's name. If that Gene loses to Jason Jackson, guess what? He's new. He's young. A loss doesn't hurt him. Jason Jackson, he's established. If he loses to Thad Gene's a beast. So to me, there is no losing other than the fact that one goes on to fight for the $500,000. I can't wait for it. Can't wait.
And then Jake Hadley tonight made his debut at the promotion.
Yeah.
What's your guys' opinion of his potential?
Big fan. I got to sit down with him. Excuse me. Jake Hadley, I'm a big fan. I sat down with him on Wednesday, and he told us everything he was going to do. He said that we have a cardio that doesn't stop. I thought his pace was incredible. And I really thought whether he was down on the ground or he was punching, he was absolutely everything that we wanted. He also is hungry. You heard him say, I need to buy a new car. Well, $500,000 will buy you a new car, maybe a little bit more. So I love guys like Jake Hadley or like Gutierrez that come in and don't fight scared. Just because you lose doesn't mean your season's over, or it doesn't mean your year's over. We want fighters that want to fight like that. So if you lose, we're still going to find you another fight. We just got to figure that out, right? So to me, Jake Hadley is somebody that we're definitely going to be looking at to be behind more than we were before, because we didn't know what to expect. If that makes sense. Awesome. Anybody else? Yeah.
Coach Edwin from SureDot.com. I wanted to shift a little bit to the international aspect of PFL.
Sure.
I wanted to ask, is there any probability we'll see the Irish superstar Paul Hughes competing overseas in the United States, or Cedric Doumbé? Is there any chance, because Dakota Decheva also came from PFL Europe. She established a name over there, and then she transferred over and competed in the tournament.
Right.
Is there any probability we'll see also the male fighters compete in the United States?
I think that right now, when you talk about a guy like Paul Hughes, you want to put him in front of the biggest audience. I mean, the event's sold out, and we're still a couple of months away. I think when you're a promotion like the PFL, we've got to be very, very smart where we put our fighters and the promotions that we put them in. It wouldn't be smart for us to put Paul Hughes into this tournament. He already proved himself in Dubai in January. So you take that, and it was a close loss. But look what happened. He became a bigger star because of that loss. So we're trying to become a worldwide company. We have PFL Europe. We have PFL MENA. We're trying to launch PFL Australia, PFL Africa. So as much as we love the United States, we're trying to create the Champions League of MMA. So I would be lying to you if I said that I thought Paul Hughes would be fighting in the United States anytime soon. But it's not because we don't want him here, because he sells a lot of tickets over there. It's all about selling tickets, revenue, and growing. And that's what we want to do.
Agreed. Along that line of expansion, I've had a lot of people that have asked me, have you heard anything of PFL wanting to expand to Latin America? There's a huge amount of talent down there. Mm-hmm. And we've seen some of them compete in the PFL, like Alan Dominguez, Zaray Orozco, Sergio Cosillo. Is there any probability that maybe PFL will expand as well to Latin America? Has there been plans or talks about that?
We've discussed it, but to be really honest with you, and I'm telling you, every week we're going to be honest with each other. That's the only way this thing's going to work. And when you're launching a country like Australia, and then Africa has so many great fighters, and they're also a country that we're looking to do some other things in as well. There's a lot of entertainment that's done down there also, so there's a strategy to it. So I think Latin America is probably a little while away, but I certainly think that it's a possibility. But we've got to really get the other 4 or 5 up and running before we even think about that.
Thank you, Coach. One last question.
Yeah.
Before the PFL and Bellator merger, Bellator had a co-promotion relationship with Rising, the Japanese MMA organization. Is there any probability in the future we may see PFL co-promoting with Rising again, or was that something that's already in the past because Bellator's now merged with PFL.
Let me tell you this right now. We have got great new people in great new positions. We have a brand new head of world everything. He's standing to my left over here. He's one of the smartest guys I've ever worked with. He came from the WWE. And so the one thing we learned in the WWE is you never say never. And if it makes money, it makes sense. So if that would make sense, we'll absolutely do it. And that man right over there would be the one to make that happen. So we haven't even talked about it. He just got here. We're just starting this new PFL, but I think we're off to a pretty good start, and I'm super excited. And if I'm being honest with you, I want this to be the last stop in my career, and I know he does too, and all the other really good people we brought in the off season. So if that could happen, that'd be exciting, though, wouldn't it?
Of course.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Coach. Appreciate your time.
Anybody else? Yeah.
PFL Origins, the new video series that
Yeah.
you guys had, it's really telling a lot more. You saw Jason Jackson's story, just what he was able to do. How much do you feel like, things like just being able to tell that story with those video clips, more social media content, like how do you feel, or some of the new things you guys are going to be able to do to kind of tell that story?
Let me ask you a question. Did you ever see that before? The answer is no. And that was a big miss. And I will readily admit that, and we will readily admit that. If you don't have what we call shoulder programming around the events, if we don't tell the stories of these fighters, then we're doing them a disservice. But if they don't give us the stories, they're doing themselves a disservice. So I think at some point, you're going to see a lot more of that kind of stuff. I think we'd love to have a PFL podcast at some point. We have a betting show off and on as well. But as we grow and we bring in more sponsors and more partners, you're going to see a lot of that. But PFL Origins, I thought was great. And then having it on ESPN2 was super cool too. So there's a big difference between ESPN2 and ESPN Plus. So I thought everybody was talking about it. And those type of things really make you care. So when the crowd comes to Nashville, they see Jason Jackson, man, that guy, man, he was in tears. His stepdad, all of that, right? Because that's what we're all human beings. And we all care about. We're supposed to care about each other, right? And these fighters walk in there, they're warriors, and we come to watch them fight. So I hope you do more of that. And I think we've kind of reallocated our assets a little bit. You guys don't see it, but we see it. And we're spending money on that instead of other things. And I think it's super important. We'll continue to do that. Yep. Anybody else? Good? We're good? Awesome. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week, okay? Appreciate it. Thank you, Tom.
Thanks so much.